I'd like to call this meeting to order at 6:30 on January 27th, 2026. And Councilmember Villaseñor, can you lead us in the pledge, please?
Yes, everyone please stand.
Roll call.
Mayor Mendez,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Garnica,
Present.
Councilmember Brogy,
Here.
Councilmember Villaseñor,
Here.
Councilmember Rodriguez.
Here.
Okay. Moving on to number 4, approval of the agenda. May I have a motion, please?
So moved. I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Moving on to number 5, public comments. And this, we do have several public comments. We have 3 minutes per speaker. And our first speaker is Ron Merkford. Welcome, Ron.
Thank you, Council. My name is Ron Merkford. I live over in Bardsdale and consider myself a resident of Fillmore here. And I'm speaking tonight on behalf of 805 UndocuFund, which is an immigrant support group here in Ventura County throughout the 805 area. And we are trying to build up a volunteer presence here in Fillmore, because even though we have volunteers responding to different immigrant issues throughout the rest of the county, here in Fillmore, it's kind of like a dark area right now where we don't have a lot of volunteers. Volunteers will be doing things from everything from supporting families where one member has been taken by ICE, that kind of thing, providing support for them after the fact, to even having volunteers out legally documenting what they see ICE agents doing. And it requires, a fair number of volunteers. So we will be having a volunteer training here in Fillmore on February 6th at 5:30 p.m. So you can get more information by going to 805undocufund.org/trainings. And we don't have it on the site yet because it's so new today, but it'll be there in a few days. In addition, we're also having one in Spanish offered in Piru on February 1st. So we hope people will come out and support the organization and all the work we're doing for immigrant rights. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Beatriz Hernandez. Welcome, Beatriz.
Hello. I'm Beatriz Hernandez. I'm a citizen here in Fillmore. I walk a lot. I just walk. I do not drive. There's been all these people that drive e-bikes, and they go so fast. They go so fast. It's been a few times that I've run into. One was on A. Thank you for putting up that new rail. It's a lot higher, and I feel safer. That is where he came behind me as I was coming down, and I didn't have time to move or decide which way. I moved to my right side. I went down off of the sidewalk onto the street. My knees hit the rail, and my hands, right away went straight down, and my hands held onto the rail when a car came up right in front of me and just turned. So I panicked. But also, and by on A Street. On A Street, going downward, that the curve. And the other one was over here on the 126, on the entrance on McDonald's. He was coming east and I was going west, and he was going with the traffic, obviously, with how quick he was going, but he came so fast that he was on the side of the highway, and he came onto the entrance to where that little tiny spot, his bike it jumped, and he went right in front of me across, and he just flew right by me. So it's just scary because it's something you don't expect it. So if you can do something about that, please. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Yvonne Becerra. Welcome, Yvonne.
Hello, everybody. I'm Yvonne Becerra, supervisor at the Fillmore Library, 502 2nd Street, Fillmore. Always make sure everybody knows where the library is, and you're all welcome anytime. And I'm just here to say hello from the library and bring you up to date with a few things that are going on. We continue to have a lot of youth at the library and daily activities, which are great. On Tuesday evenings, we have an active fiber arts group, which is happening right now, and it's for teens and adults. And there's a couple people, there's one learning to sew right now, a couple others visiting while they crochet. It's just kind of like almost like an old-time quilter circle where people socialize while accomplishing a task and a craft as well, so it's really great. So we continue to have those things going on like that. We have the Master Gardeners, Ventura, the UC Master Gardeners in Ventura coming in and doing a monthly series on gardening. And it's second Monday, of each month. And just to help people get their gardens prepared so they could grow their own produce. And we've had some really nice community turnout at that. So please, everybody's welcome to join for that.
What time is that for the Master Gardener?
6 p.m.
6 p.m.
6 p.m. You know what? Check our calendar to make sure, because I may have a couple times off. Mondays and Tuesdays we're open till 7, so we're able to have evening programs. The rest of the week we're open till 5. One thing the library has now, and I want to make sure people know about this, actually all the county libraries, is scan and fax capabilities. And I know for this community it's very helpful. So people can scan documents, photos, et cetera, to either a flash drive or send it to their email. Also, or somebody else's email if you want to share that information, as well as faxing capabilities. Just place the item in the fax machine, put in the info. It'll send you an email receipt if you desire that. And there's no charge for any of this. And they're available during both open hours and the library's express hours, which are a couple hours before the library opens if you just need to dash in and get something done or want some quiet studying. We also have a lot of homeschoolers who come in during that time and meet with their teachers, their regional teachers. And so it's just a vibrant place, and if you need anybody needs assistance in getting a library card or looking up a card they may already have and forgot where it is, we'll take care of that for you, or just want to come by and say hi. All right? So I just wanted to say hi to all of you as well. Okay? Thanks. Good to see all of you.
The next speaker is Joseph Durbansky Jr. Sorry if I didn't say that right.
So close. Good evening. My name is Joseph Dubzinski Jr. I am the 805 UndocuFund Rapid Response Organizer for Ventura County and Southern Santa Barbara County. I'm also a resident of Camarillo, and I spend my mornings outside of Cortez Circle tracking raid activity to protect the undocumented community within Ventura County. It has been my experience since last June that the force that has been built up in ICE is full of undisciplined, untrained fascist cowards who are using escalating violence against community members and against the undocumented community in whatever ethnic cleansing they're trying to do right now. To wit, since we've started tracking numbers back in January throughout the Tri-County area of 805, that's San Luis Obispo, Santa Barbara, and Ventura counties, we've had 1,524 abductions at least that we know of. 803 were in Ventura County. And just for some of the surrounding areas, Fillmore has had 14, 10 to 11 picked up in one day, as I recall recently. Santa Paula has had 9, Saticoy has had 3, and Piru has had 2. We understand that city councils and police departments are under a number of restraints in order to help this community right now, but I assure you that it's only going to get worse, and I can assure you that it has gotten worse over the last 2 months, particularly up in Santa Maria and San Luis Obispo, where there's a 4-day reign of terror where they picked up 145 people minimum over the course of those 4 days. But there is help on the way. We have made the Santa Clara River Valley a priority for 805 on DocuFund early in this year. Regret not being out here sooner, but we are here now. We have trainings coming up for people who want to get involved. We have a volunteer training where folks can learn about our mutual aid programs, about community outreach like this, and our rapid response introduction. And we also have a full rapid response training where we teach people how to patrol for ICE and hold them accountable. Because other folks cannot or will not at this point. There are also trainings on Oxnard on the 29th for volunteers, Carpinteria for volunteer and rapid response on the 31st. Piru will have a Spanish language training on February 1st. Fillmore will have one on February 6th, and there's at least one to be scheduled in Santa Paula. I encourage everyone on this city council to figure out what they can do for the undocumented community right now because nobody else is taking care of them. And I also ask that you guys consider putting together an immigrant stakeholders committee as Oxnard has done and as Moorpark is starting to do so we can have dialogues about what we can do right now as opposed to me coming up here for 3 minutes at a time. So thank you for your time this evening, and I look forward to working with this community to defend everyone from the reign of terror of ICE. Thank you.
Moving on to number 6, city council reports, recommendations, comments, committee, commission, and board reports.
Okay, I do. We had a meeting for Ventura Regional Sanitation District. The agenda was actually quite light. The main action item that we did was actually offer mutual aid and assistance to the Ojai Valley Sanitation District. And the reason for it is, as we've seen both in our city with our, gaining employment and help with sanitation and sewer and really across the county, there's really a dearth of qualified professionals, who are taking these jobs. And so as things are starting to get actually so thin that, different sanitation districts are actually asking for help from other sanitation districts. So it's really important that we as council members and as advocates, as we look to the future in the pipeline of what's needed here in the Santa Clara Valley or across Ventura County, that we do need jobs in a pipeline for these kind of specialized technical municipal jobs, municipal public work jobs. So that's the update from VRSD. Let's see, I have this week we are having actually a couple of meetings about the potential of the Santa Paula Hospital relocation. One of them is sort of a small group, it's not a public meeting, of stakeholders, including the CEO of Limoneta concerning the actual land space there on the southeast corner of Halleck and 126. And then actually later on Thursday afternoon, there's an official Santa Paula Hospital Blue Ribbon Task Force meeting, and that takes place up at the hospital in their library room, and I'm planning on attending both, and so I look forward to reporting back. I do have another comment. So those are my updates from the city. I do have a couple of personal comments to make, and again, this is from me, it's from my opinion, and I thank you for giving me just a few minutes here, and it's very apropos actually that we had speakers here to talk about the 805 on DocuFund and the need in our community. I want to take a moment to honor the life of Alex Preddy, gunned down by ICE in Minneapolis Saturday morning. Like the killing of Renee Good by ICE 17 days earlier. It was shocking and brutal. Mr. Preddy died trying to assist a woman being pepper sprayed, and both were exercising their First Amendment right, the freedom to bear witness to the authoritarian actions taking place in Minnesota. Some will say that Mr. Preddy died as a result of him exercising his Second Amendment right, that right to bear arms. The second iteration of this administration has thrown constitutional rights out the window. I was here 5 years ago on this dais, maybe for one, I think my first or second meeting, when we had a constitutional crisis at that point in time with the storming of the Capitol on January 6, 2021. As individuals, as a community, and as a country, I believe it's our duty to defend not only our rights as we see them, but every person's right as they apply. Every person, every child in America has the right to due process. And we need to be able to stand up for those rights, to observe if these rights are being violated, and to defend these rights without fear of losing our lives, our livelihood, or our way of life. This is not the America that I want for our children. And dollars to donuts, I'm willing to bet that nearly everyone I talk to, this is not the America that we want for our children. I'm so sorry for these lives that have been lost. And as a society, hopefully, and positively, as we see the actions and the ability to take action and to move forward and defend our communities, may we begin to realize this en masse, that this is not what we want. And may Mr. Preddy's death not be in vain. I do want to speak to the how this affects Fillmore. 2 days before Christmas, there was a dozen farm workers who were taken, I think it was 12, up on near Edison Lane and 4th Street in North Fillmore. And all that was left was their loncheras, or their lunch boxes, as they were leaving at 5:30 in the morning to go pick lemons, as they have for years and years. But the loncheras weren't the only thing that were left behind. Their kids and their wives and their spouses and their partners were left behind. So this is in our community. And I just ask everyone to do what you can and to stand up and to speak up for what's right. Because we all swore an oath to the Constitution, and may we all defend it. Thank you.
Anybody else?
So, this is on. So I just want to say, I think that was very brave of you to speak out. I think there's, unfortunately, an air of people being too cautious about speaking out against what is, to me, blatantly wrong and what's going on in our country. And I think we need more voices to speak out like you did. And I completely agree, Christina, in what you said. I don't want my grandkids growing up in a country where they're afraid to go outside because of the color of their skin, that they could get pulled over or possibly murdered because of the color of their skin. That is not the America that I went and served, my time in the service for. As you said, we all swore an oath to the Constitution, and that Constitution is the only thing that really matters and makes us different from other countries. And now it seems like that Constitution is being tossed by the wayside. So thank you for speaking up about that. On other more mundane topics, I'm going to attend the United Water Conservation District meeting tomorrow morning. That's a tour of the facilities. We did not have a meeting for the Fillmore Piru Groundwater Sustainability Basin last month, but there is going to be another one on the 22nd of February. So, and that's it for me.
Anybody else?
I would like to share something, and thank you, John Garnica and Christina Villaseñor, for saying that, because I definitely agree with that, and we should definitely speak up. Last week, I attended a 3-day New Mayors, New Council conference, and up in Sacramento, and it was great, and learned a lot of great things about different cities and how we can enhance the city as well, and all the wonderful work that everybody's doing. Made me really proud of saying I'm from Fillmore. And so just that, and yeah, thank you.
Last week, I attended the EDC meeting, Economic Development Collaborative meeting, which was on Thursday, and it was held at the Moore Park Country Club. We had only one item on the agenda, and it was to review the budget. But afterwards, there was an event, and it focused on film in Ventura County, and it was really, really informative. They touched on all the filming and all the different parts of the county. And when's they're going to have an event? Erica, what's that date again?
Let me double check.
I'm sorry.
the 5th annual permit palooza on February 26th at 10 a.m.
Yes. And they're gonna, you can register for that event, and if you're interested in film and what's going on in Ventura County, or if you're involved in the process for your city, yeah, register for that event, and there'll be tons of information for you to learn and bring back and share with your colleagues. But I want to also say thank you, Christina and John and Mario, for speaking up. Thank you. Moving on to number 7, consent calendar. Can I have a motion to approve the consent calendar?
So moved.
You got a motion, a second?
I'll second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Motion passes. Moving on to number 8, new business, 8A, appointment to the Cultural and Arts and Recreation Commission.
Thank you, Mayor, that I will be presenting that item. In November of last year, staff received notice that Nancy Hernandez Rodriguez had resigned from her position as a Cultural Arts and Recreation Commissioner prior to the completion of her term, which was set to expire on January 31st of 2029. And pursuant to our municipal code, Chapter 2.28, any appointment made to fill a vacancy occurring during a commissioner's term shall be for the unexpired portion of that term. So accordingly, the vacancy created a resignation for that term ending on January 31st of 2029. Consistent with our policy, which provides that commissioners' applications remain active and we file those for a 1-year term. Staff confirmed that Mr. Casey Clark, who's here in the audience tonight, had a valid application on file at the time that the vacancy occurred. And we've subsequently conferred with our City Council Ad Hoc Interview Committee, which is consistent from Councilmember Villaseñor at the time that the interview took place. She was mayor, and then Councilmember Brogy. And they both agreed to recommend that the mayor recommends the council tonight for Mr. Casey to fill the vacancy through the ending term of January 31st of 2029. That concludes my presentation. Happy to answer any questions.
Okay, any questions from the council? Discussion? Can I have a motion then?
I will make that motion to
Okay,
bring
I got
Mr.
a
Clark.
motion, and can I get a second?
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Motion passes unanimously. Mr. Clark, congratulations.
Welcome.
Moving on to item 8B, Fillmore Terrace 50-unit permanent supportive housing project, an appropriation and agreement giving the developer a $500,000 loan.
All right, thank you, Mayor, members of the City Council. I'm going to be presenting this item before you today, and I'm going to start with, I'm going to basically divide this report into four parts. I'm going to go over the background of the project, why People Self-Help Housing is in need of the funds, and where the funds come from, and loan details and project financing. So a little bit about the background of the project. People Self-Help Housing Corporation is constructing a 50-unit permanent supportive housing project that is located off of Palm Street between Highway 126 and Santa Clara Street. The project is unique in that it didn't come before the Planning Commission or the City Council as in past would have been expected. It was approved ministerially by the City of Fillmore and on August 25th, 2023, in accordance with Assembly Bill 2162, which is the By Right Supportive Housing Law and the Housing Accountability Act. This project, otherwise known as the Fillmore Terrace, is currently going through its 4th plan check and has the goal of obtaining permits by spring of this year. Fillmore Terrace intends to serve households earning between 30% and 60% of Ventura County's area median income. And the development will include designated units with specific occupancy criteria, including 13 homeless households, 5 households with a qualifying development disability, and 24 farm worker households. And just to give a little bit more information about, the project itself, it consists of multiple two-story buildings and provides a unit mix of 22 one-bedroom units, 14 two-bedroom units, and 14 three-bedroom units. And it will contain several amenities, including a resident-serving community room with a meeting space, kitchen, and offices for People Self-Help Corporation supportive services and management staff, outdoor courtyards, a playground, and a common laundry area. People Self-Help Corporation is the project developer, owner, property manager, and social service provider for the project. So let's get to why People Self-Housing Corporation is in need of the funds, and why staff is recommending that the City Council authorize that we enter into an agreement for a $500,000 loan to support this project. And essentially, this loan is intended to help support development and construction costs for the project. It also helps the project compete for low-income housing tax credits, which is the primary source of financing for the project. So this loan, the commitment from the municipality from within which the project is going to be built, really helps to make their project much more competitive and makes it more of a reality that it will obtain that financing, which will help get it built. And so, where do the funds come from? So we're proposing to use funds from the former redevelopment agency housing set-aside funds. And this, to give a little background on that, back in 2012, the state of California, per Assembly Bill X126, dissolved redevelopment agencies across the state. And so in part of that process, the state allowed cities to hold on to their housing set-aside funds and use them for housing projects such as this one. In the current year, City Council allocated $100,000 from the former RDA fund to Ventura County Housing Trust Fund to support regional housing throughout the county. And there remained a balance of $500,000, which is what we're proposing to use to support the People Self-Housing Fillmore Terrace project. So a little bit more information. The RDA contribution, it will be structured as a loan, and the loan would be deferred and require residual receipt payments. The term will be for 55 years and with an interest rate between 0 to 3%. The loan will deed restrict 5 units to households earning between up to 80% of the area median income. And let's see. In terms of the financing that the project currently has, is a total of $16,768,332. And these funds come from various sources as identified in the staff report, including the California Department of Housing and Community Development, Ventura County, the County of Ventura, AHP loan, California Department of Development Disabilities, and NeighborWorks. And this upcoming February, the project, it will apply for 4% low-income housing tax credits. And then after that, we'll also apply for 9% low-income housing tax credits. And the proposed loan represents a strategic use of one-time restricted housing funds to leverage substantial outside investment through the low-income housing tax credit program, thereby maximizing the impact of the city's limited resources while advancing housing goals and priorities. For the low-income housing tax credit application, public funds must be committed to the project as evidenced through a signed letter. Stating the loan amount, project name, and terms which has been attached to the letter. This was a draft. There's some information in there that's going to be modified, but that is the letter that's referred to in the staff report. And with that, I'll just repeat the recommendation that the City Council authorize the Assistant City Manager to enter into an agreement with People Self-Help Housing Corporation for a $500,000 redevelopment agency housing set-aside fund loan to help fund development and construction costs of their 50-unit permanent supportive housing project. With that, that concludes my staff report, and happy to answer any questions that the council might have.
Thank you. We do have some speakers cards.
Yeah, absolutely.
Any questions? Okay, we'll call the speaker for a minute. Okay, our first speaker on this will be Gabrielle Vignon. Good evening.
Good evening. Good evening, Mayor Mendez and honorable council members. My name is Gabrielle Vignon, and I'm the Executive Director of House Farm Workers. We also have a Fillmore and Piru Housing Task Force, and we've come to speak before you. We submitted a letter, and Erica has put it in for record, but I would also like to read it here for you today. So Fillmore Terrace, as Manuel said, is developed by People's Self-Help Housing and an example of quality, affordable housing that the city of Fillmore can have and that the city of Fillmore desperately needs. They will provide 50 units, and that will help fulfill the city's obligation to meet RHNA, the state's regional housing numbers allocation. We agree with the report that Mr. Menjarez submitted, and we agree that City Council should appropriate $500,000 from the RDA Housing Set-Aside Fund and authorize the Assistant Manager to enter into an agreement with People's Self-Help Housing. And this allows for others to see that the City of Fillmore is willing to invest in Fillmore Terrace, which enhances their chances to be more competitive when applying for their financing. We have come before you in the past about this, asking for support. We've walked the site with the architect, we've had conversations with the developers, and we agree that it'll be a great addition to the community. As it was said, it's gonna serve people with 30% and 60% of Ventura County's area medium income, but it's also serving the unhoused and our local farm workers. So again, we hope that you approve the staff recommendation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Just a quick question?
Yes, okay.
So, just out of curiosity, so is any of the calculation at all have to do, or I guess I'm really asking about involvement with veterans, like homeless veterans, or is anything with veterans involved in the grant application?
I'm gonna.
No, there isn't necessarily a specific veteran component to this, although there is nothing in the project that would prohibit a veteran in need of a unit so long as they were eligible for the type of unit.
Mm-hmm.
So as mentioned before, there are units for individuals that have developmental disabilities. So if the veteran has a developmental disability, they could be eligible, or if they're a homeless
Income.
veteran, yeah,
Mhm.
they would be eligible.
So as long as they're in the 30 to 60%.
And their income range as well.
Of their income
That's
range,
correct.
okay, great, thank you.
Of course. The one thing I also failed to mention I'd like to add is the project would help significantly with the ERF homeless encampment grant that we're currently working on. Unlike a lot of other communities within the state that have a dedicated, shelter, transitional housing, or permanent supportive housing already built for their homeless that are in the encampment to transfer into. The city of Fillmore does not have that housing availability, and it makes it more difficult to house this population. So having a project that will provide 13 units for homelessness would help that effort out significantly. So I just wanted to mention that. Thank you.
Thank you, man.
And any questions?
I got one question, Manny. So, so the population that can get in, as you mentioned, is it anybody in Ventura County or anybody, or just specifically for Fillmore residents?
So, per the tax credit rules, folks outside of Fillmore can apply and are required to be considered. However, is common practice with these type of projects. What they often do is to do early advertising within the community to give as much notice as possible to folks that live in the community to apply early and be considered. And if, Daisy, if you'd like to speak to that at all, but that's my understanding, right? There wouldn't be any prohibition on folks that live outside of Fillmore for applying.
Thank you.
I do have one more speaker card.
Question.
Yes.
Going back to the beginning of time when People Self-Help brought this to us, we're talking about staff that would be there 24/7 to assist, some of the the residents there that might need assistance, or if problems occur, anything to alleviate phone calls to our local sheriff and being a burden to our local sheriff's department. What's the status now as far, will there be any staff there 24/7 or on a part-time basis or?
Okay, yeah, so the project is a permanent supportive housing project, and I'd go defer to Daisy from People Self-Help to answer questions about, whether the number of staff and the number of hours that they'll be
Right.
working on site.
Okay, thank you.
Our next speaker is Daisy
Hi.
Miguel.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. I'm Daisy Miguel. Nice to see you, Mayor Mendez and council members. Yes, to answer your question, we will have a full-time staff person. We will have a property manager on site in addition to our supportive services staff. The supportive services staff will not be there 24 hours, but the property manager will be on site. And we usually provide surveillance cameras throughout the property as well. So we usually have that as well. There's also vast amount of lighting that we've included as part of the project design and some other design elements that also help with security.
Okay, thank you.
So yeah, I'm just here tonight to thank you all for considering this item. We've had the property since 2017. We've been trying to get the project constructed for some time now, so we really appreciate you considering this request. We really feel like this will help the project be able to secure low-income housing tax credits, and I'm just here to try to answer any questions you might have, and yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Question. So can you just in very, I guess succinctly, tell us what is the process for securing the funds once, let's assume that the city council does vote in favor of giving the $500,000 loan. What would be the next steps in order to secure the funding for the full amount to develop the property?
Sure. So the last piece of financing really that the project needs is low-income housing tax credits. So there's one application for 4% tax credits that's coming up on February 3rd. We are submitting an application. If that application is not successful, then we would apply again for 9% low-income housing tax credits, and I believe that application is in May. So there's usually 2 9% rounds and 2 4% rounds, so essentially we have kind of the ability to apply 4 times to see if we will be able to be awarded. But part of the process to secure low-income housing tax credits is you have to show that you have public finance already committed to the project, and the more public finance that you have committed to the project, the more likely you are to get an award.
Okay.
So part of the reason why we're requesting additional public finance is to help us with that tiebreaker process that they have.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I just had a comment to add and maybe ask Daisy if this is true and what I might believe, what I've been working with and understanding, and that's that that it is more and more difficult to get this kind of financing, like you said, without the public investment, and then also the fact that it's some farm worker units. The way the current system works right now, there's sort of like, I guess, unfortunately, it doesn't work with you. It works a little bit against you on the scoring. Is that right?
Yeah, so I guess it is very difficult to secure a low-income housing tax credit allocation for projects that are specifically in rural areas. So part of what's made it difficult for us to secure a low-income housing tax credit allocation is that this site is in what's considered a rural area under the tax credit definition. And for 4% tax credits, if you're applying for 4% tax credits, there's 2 different allocations you can receive, federal credits and state credits. Usually you want to just request federal credits, because if you're submitting a request for any state credits, it decreases your opportunity to be awarded. So really what we are trying to do is to reduce our state credit ask so we can increase So we can just be requesting federal credits to increase our opportunity to get awarded. But yes, it has been increasingly difficult to get awarded in the rural set-aside. Yeah. Unfortunately.
Thank you.
Yeah, sure. Thank you.
Discussion?
Well, I just had one more comment to make, and that's just a really big thank you to Manuel, to Daisy, to Veronica at People Self Help, to Kevin, to Brian, to all those who've been working over the years on just to work on this application and understand that this project is really needed in our community. So thank you again for all of the work, and yeah, no, I just want to say that I'm really supportive. I think that it's important, as was mentioned, for Fillmore to have an investment in this in our future. For our residents. Our residents, we know that, I know there's no guarantees, but like I said, there's ways to try and do what we can to get Fillmore folks into these units, and we know that there's waiting lists, long waiting lists for our Mountain View apartments. We're talking hundreds and hundreds of families for sure. So anyway, I think it's a good thing. Thank you.
Anybody else? Since no further discussion, can we get a motion?
I will make a motion, City Council appropriate $500,000 from the redevelopment housing set-aside fund and authorize the city manager to enter into an agreement with People Self-Help Housing Corporation for $500,000 RDA housing set-aside fund loan to help fund development and construction costs of their 50-unit permanent supportive housing project.
Thank you. I got a motion. Can I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Moving on to item 8C, adoption of a resolution to acknowledge receipt of the fire inspection report required by Senate Bill 1205. Firefighter of the Year, Bennett, congratulations.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, City Council. Happy to be here this evening and present to you our staff report. Is our recommendation that you adopt and accept the resolution 26-4092 in compliance of Senate Bill 1205. The purpose of annual fire inspections and Senate Bill 1205 is that we mitigate hazards, community risk reduction, ensure reasonable compliance with state law, and just, make our city safer for the residents here. This year we inspected four private schools, 10 public schools, one motel we have in the city, and 51 apartments. There is no fiscal impact associated with this. And then it aligns perfectly with City Council's goal for this year of public safety and just ensuring the citizens have a safe residence here in the city of Fillmore. I'm here for any questions if you have any.
Thank you. Questions?
Okay. Then just, if you adopt, just ask that you read the resolution and adopt it for the city. Thank you.
Just a quick comment. Thanks for all the inspections, keeping our city safe, so thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, I would also like to add my congratulations on being Fireman of the Year. And just on that same note, we had a fantastic event last night at the fire station with presenting awards. Can you just elaborate on that real quick? Can we do that, even though it's not agendized?
Yeah, it's also your action.
Yeah. So can you elaborate on what the event was last night?
Oh, yeah. So we had our annual Fire Foundation sponsored celebration. Like you said, honoring the firefighters here, not just the full-time personnel like myself, but we do have considerable number of reserve firefighters. So they put in all their time and to, one, get experience, and to potentially move on to a full-time department. So a big part of our event that we do every year is to recognize those personnel, give them their off probation shield and their Fillmore Fire Department belt buckle that they get after completion of probation, and then also to recognize Firefighter of the Year and any promotions as well. So it was a great time. Thank you for all for joining us.
And there were a lot of great giveaways, too. That raffle was fantastic, Chief.
That was all Chief right there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you once again. Can I get a motion, please?
Okay, I will move that the City Council adopt Resolution 26-4092, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Fillmore, California, acknowledging receipt of the annual Senate Bill 1205 Fire Inspection Report. Yep.
I'll second.
A second?
Second. Got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Moving on to item 8D, discussion of whether to increase the city council salaries.
Thank you, Mayor. So this item is a continuation of last meeting, which the item was introduced. And under the direction of the city council, we were requested to further bring you data on what other cities are being compensated for. And so we have that data available for you today. I'm just going to run down by the cities and then mention what they're currently receiving, and then we'll get to the CalPERS portion of it. And so we used our comparison cities for purposes of collecting this data as well. So the city of Agoura Hills is currently receiving a $300 stipend, but they are receiving other statutory benefits such as a car allowance, group health insurance, group dental insurance, and they get reimbursed for travel, meetings, outreach supplies, and they also have the ability to opt into the CalPERS retirement system. City of Arroyo Grande currently is receiving $648 as of 2024, and additional $150 for the mayor is paid, or $798. They are eligible for medical, dental, and vision insurance. Moving on to the city of Calabasas, currently receiving $1,171. Medical, dental, and vision are also provided to them. City of Carpinteria, it's $950. Health, dental, wellness allowance benefits are also provided to their council. City of La Cañada Flint Ridge, it's $300, and council receives the same benefits as their employees. City of Moore Park is currently $600, and they're eligible for CalPERS benefits. No cashback payments in lieu of health insurance. City of Ojai is $988. They do have a 5% increase every year, and that's why the amount is higher. The expense reimbursement is up to no more than $250, and they're eligible for CalPERS benefits. City of Port Hueneme, it's a stipend of $751.38, and they do provide CalPERS benefits. City of San Fernando, it's $950. Health, dental, workers' comp, vision, life, and wellness insurance, and automotive allowance is also provided. City of Santa Paula is $600 with CalPERS benefits, which is a $2,540 per year in costs. And then City of Sullivan is $600, and no other statutory benefits are provided. So if, moving on to PERS, we decided to look into what our current contract states. And so back in May of 1973, it was adopted by the council at the time that the elected officials would not be eligible for PERS. And so that's right now currently stipulated in our contract. And so tonight, if you were to entertain the retirement option, what that would mean, we would have to amend our current contract. There is a lengthy process and legal process that we would have to follow. Submit documentation to CalPERS. There's a $200 cost associated with that. And so I just wanted you to be aware of that. But if the council were to consider providing benefits as part of your compensation, the estimated costs are charted here. And I just wanted to bring that up just to give you a visual. So the medical annual cost would be $27,000 and $312 per member. Dental is $660 annual cost. The vision is $96. And then added to that would be the monthly stipend. If the stipend were to increase, that would be the $11,400. So you're looking at a total of $39,468 per council member. We added the annual cost so that you could also compare that. And the CalPERS retirement rates are just for reference only. And that would be, you know, if we were going through the amendment process, and it's, there's 2 tiers. So the first tier is classic, and the employer rate is typically 13.11%, and then the employee rate is 7%. And the PEPRA, which is the second tier, would be 8.16% for the employer and then 8% for the employee. And the purpose of this is just to allow you to have a continued discussion and to provide us direction on which way you would like to proceed. That concludes my presentation, and happy to answer any questions.
Discussion?
Well, I mean, one of the things that sticks out to me is that there's only one city that doesn't have CalPERS benefits at a minimum, and that was Solvang, and us. So we're the only ones that don't have that currently. Not necessarily that should weigh, overly, in my opinion, but it is something that do we really want to be in that same category? I mean, that's where we currently are, at the very bottom of the list, in terms of what the benefits are to council members.
And correct me if I'm wrong, Erica, but if council were to move forward with the CalPERS, that would then trigger a negotiation for all the staff.
It potentially could.
Yeah, and so from my perspective, that's opening up a whole can of worms that I don't think we want to go down, that for city council to acquire that kind of a benefit, even though there's only one other city in the Southern California region that has it besides, or that does not have it besides us. I would not be in favor of that.
So, so my input is in agreement with Carrie. I think that the cost of the benefit is quite large, and I think it would take a really significant administrative chunk from our budget. And I think we need to balance, the reason this came up, or the idea of incentivizing folks to come and join the city council and be willing to put the time and effort into it, and balance that against how, what will incentivize, what is something that adds to it, along with just that you're serving the community. But it is more than just volunteer. And I think I had mentioned this the last time this came up a couple of years ago in my comments, and that is all community service is great and it's valued, but it's not all the same. And so I think, and I think I made a comment sort of like, I'm just going to say XYZ club, right, as a volunteer. I'm not going to name a club. But if you were to say to maybe one of these club members, how about we swap for 6 months? And you come do my city council work, and I'll do your XYZ club work. I don't think the XYZ club person would be so inclined. and I say that because it really is more than volunteer. And I think whatever we can do to incentivize folks to say this is serving your community, but at a real level that a need, and just as we all know, the time, the effort, and to be prepared to to be a policymaker for a city with, twice a month we've got to make decisions is, it's a really important job, and it takes a lot of responsibility. And so where I'm going with this is saying, I think whatever we can do monetarily to incentivize a stipend, we should, because it's important to bring quality folks who see that there's a value and they're getting a little bit of compensation for their time and effort. And it is different. It is different than just volunteering for something else in the community. But I think going on that far other end of benefits for our town, for our budget, is just is too much. And so that's my opinion. So I'm in support of raising it the next go round of the stipend, but not particularly for the benefits. And that's just looking out for the city budget.
Thank you. Anybody else?
I do have a comment with that, and thank you, Christina, and thank you, Brogy, for saying that. Yeah, if it's going to impact us in terms of finances and be more of a burden or just reshuffle a lot of current benefits that the city's already getting for their employees, I don't think it's worth it. You know what I mean? I think if we can still stay competitive, as John's mentioned, definitely looking into raising the stipend instead of raising all of the benefits and including the retirement. And not only that, as Christina mentioned, I do feel like if there is more an incentive for it, then maybe we'll get more, residents for Fillmore coming in and wanting to be part of what we're doing, and so on and so forth.
Yes, I agree with my fellow council members. That's a pretty large sum for, and just sending the work the staff would have to do to even begin the process is just not worth the benefit. But I do agree that maybe monetarily we could look into that, but benefits, I'm not in favor. But.
John, do you want to go first? You haven't spoke yet, but I have one more comment.
Sure. So I'm leaning the same way. I mean, if we look at it overall, we're probably around in the middle of the pack when it comes to compensation, direct compensation, like just what we get paid, the stipend. But in terms of, we're definitely in the lower quadrant overall. If we looked at, the kind of compensation we as a city council get overall, I think we're definitely in the lower quadrant of that. And I would certainly be open to looking at raising the stipend in order to bring us more to the center of the overall compensation. And so that's kind of where I am right now.
Yeah, and I would agree with that, but I wanted to point out and remind everybody too that, at least from my perspective, all the elections that a lot of us have been involved in, and me going back to 2012, I think, 13, no one's ever said, well, what's the stipend? In 2014, it was only $75. And nobody said, no, I'm not going to run because I'm not going to make enough money. That's never been an issue. I've never, ever heard a potential candidate, comment on, even ask, well, what do you make? That's never been a question. And so I don't even know how accurate it is to state that we might bring in more candidates if we have a higher stipend. I think a higher stipend is probably in order, but I don't know if that's the reason to do that would be because then we'll bring in better candidates. And we've got a slew of great council members up here now. And I think we always have had. And it's never been because, we made $75 a month, or whatever it is now, 600. Yeah. So anyway, that's just my 2 cents.
Point taken, definitely carry on that. And I'll kind of go back over my comments and say, you're right. It's not I agree. Never a candidate has said it, and I don't think never a candidate will. I guess what I really wanted to say was that it's I think we said it last week or 2 weeks ago that it's nice to have that because of the time commitment and just the value, I guess, really to sort of emphasize the value of the work and the gravitas of the work. So I stand corrected on that. Not so much candidates in campaigning.
Thank you. So, any more discussion? Does somebody want to make a motion?
I have a question for Tiffany, or actually for Erica. Was there a recommended increase, or is that number something, I mean, is it dictated by the state?
It's 950 for our size, right, Tiffany? But they're the ones, yours the one that will set that number. We're not recommending anything. Please chime in if I'm...
Right, it's 950, and then it can be increased up to 5% per year.
Okay. I'd like to make a motion. Looking at the cities of Carpinteria and Ojai, they're both at 950 or 988. I'd like to make a motion that we increase it to 950 as a stipend for the city.
Motion and second?
I'll second.
that.
Motion and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Moving on to item 8E, authorization of a professional services agreement with Michael K. Nunley and Associates to update the 2020 Urban Water Management Plan and associated water shortage contingency.
Thank you. I think you guys should waive your utility bills as part of that. Deborah? Deborah's grimacing over there. Thank you, Mr. Mayor and City Council. Staff has recommended the City Council authorize a professional services agreement with Michael K. Newley and Associates to update the city's 2020 Urban Water Management Plan and associated water shortage contingency plan in compliance with the state's 2025 Urban Water Management Planning Act guidelines. The state law requires urban water suppliers serving more than 3,000 customers to update their urban water management plan every 5 years to demonstrate water supply reliability in normal and drought conditions. The city's last urban water management plan was updated or approved in 2023 and submitted to the State Department of Water Resources in 2024. The updated 2025 urban water management plan must be submitted to the state by June 30 of this year. Maintaining compliance with, maintaining compliance is necessary for, to ensure that the city's eligible for DWR administered funds. The Urban Water Management Plan serves as a compliance or comprehensive planning document that evaluates current and future water supply conservation strategies, recycled water use, and groundwater management. The Water Shortage Contingency Plan, which supports the Urban Water Management Plan, establishes procedures and response actions for managing water shortages during dry or emergency conditions. Staff recommends retaining MKN and Associates, who previously prepared the city's 2025 Urban Water Management Plan and Shortage Contingency Plan to complete the 2025 update. The proposed agreement is for an amount not to exceed $53,630, which is fully funded in the 2025-2026 Capital Water Improvement Fund, and no additional budget appropriation is required. That concludes my report, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Questions? Seeing no questions, can I get a motion?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion that the City Council authorize the city manager to execute a professional services agreement with Michael K. Nunley and Associates to update the city's 2020 Urban Water Management Plan and associated water shortage contingency plan to comply with the state's 2025 guidelines in a form approved by the city attorney.
Thank you. I got a motion. Can I get a second? Okay, motion second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Nancy? Thank you, Joe. Moving on to item 8F, approval of Fourth Amendment to agreement with Venco Western for citywide landscape maintenance services.
Staff is recommending approval of the Fourth Amendment to the city's landscape maintenance service agreement project specification 02 with Venco Western, extending the contract term through June 30th of 2027 to align the fiscal year and exercise the final allowable extension under the original agreement. The amendment continues the existing citywide landscape and irrigation maintenance services for parks, medians, parkways, planters, and designated city facilities with no change to the scope of work, and includes a 3.3 consumer price index rate increase requested by the contractor that staff reviewed and found to be consistent with the CPI indexes, or the CPI data. The amended agreement establishes a new monthly total cost, monthly cost of $29,332.04, and allows up to $2,500 per month for extra work, with funding split between the Landscape Maintenance District and the city's general fund. The current fiscal year, $62,330 will be funded by the Landscape Maintenance Assessment District, and $79,500 by the general fund, and no additional appropriation is required as there's sufficient funds in the currently adopted and in future fiscal year budgets. Okay, no problem. I think it's important to note that Assembly Bill 339 came into effect at the beginning of this year. It affects contracts for work performed by representative employees. Under the new law, the city is required to provide at least 45 days written notice to organized employee union or organizations before issuing requests for proposals or requests for qualifications, or renewing or extending contracts, such as the case here. This notice also triggers the obligation to meet and confer with unions regarding the proposed contract. Staff notified the union of this renewal to the Venco Western Agreement. Efforts will be made between the city and the union to mutually identify certain work and services that should follow the AB 339 process, and those that can be streamlined. That concludes my report, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Joe. Questions? No? All right, may I have a motion?
Okay, I will move that the City Council approve the Fourth Amendment to the agreement of project specification number 20-02, landscape maintenance services with Venco Western.
Motion and a second? I second. Okay, motion second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion passes unanimously. Thank you, Joe.
Thank you.
Moving on to number 9, City Manager Verbal Report.
Thank you, Mayor. That's why I asked you to stay. Can you please provide us with some updates on Well 10?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
So the beginning of the construction of, or the drilling operation started as projected. What we couldn't project is what's below surface. So unfortunately, we're hitting a lot of cobble and boulder size rock. And what was projected to be one day to drill 60 feet, place the conductor pipe, which is about 42 inches in diameter, and then pour concrete around that conductor pipe to seal it in place in a plumb position. The drilling for the conductor pipe, instead of one day, is on its 5th day. Thankfully, before council meeting tonight, we were able to get the conductor pipe in place. It could be a little bit more plumb than what it is, to be honest, right now. But the concrete is poured, and there's going to be some special, consideration given to how we install the future phases of this, the downhole part of it. The sound wall, we started this sound wall, we're hitting a lot of, again, rock, cobble. with the 41 different posts that are going to be placed all around the drill rig. They only go 15 feet, but we're still hitting that, and it's a little bit of a delay to what the overall schedule was. So, long story short, today we were supposed to be starting our 24-hour drilling operation. That's not going to happen. We met with the contractor this morning, talked about many things, schedule, approach, and potential cost increases. Before I asked that they send me an updated schedule before this meeting so I can keep everybody informed. The 24-hour drilling operation, which is really what we're looking at, that, as what's going to affect the community the most. That's now projected to start on the 6th of February. And it's going to last through the 20th of February. So that's 2 weeks. But it's important to note that only 4 of those days should be the noisiest part. Then the rest of it's going to be pumping and sampling, and pumping more and sampling more. So it is going to be a 24-hour operation, but in that contained little sound wall area, a lot of the noise will be deadened, and the community shouldn't be too much affected. So the 4 days that we're watching the closest is going to start on the 6th. And I will keep the council updated on that. Then there's another second period where we're going to have some noisy operations of 24 hours a day. That's going to start on March 14th, and that's going to go through the 23rd. So you got 9 days there. So I'll be working with Angel and updating the city's landing page. Our outreach campaign is working. There's very little calls we're getting so far. Of course, we're not into the thick of it. I am working with my counterpart at the school district, keeping him updated as much as I can. With this new schedule, I'll be discussing it with him tomorrow, and then we're going to be getting the word out to the community about this updated schedule. I don't want to put, I want to wait until I have something that's actionable. Unfortunately, without knowing what kind of rock we're going to hit, I really had to wait until we got to that 60-foot mark to say with confidence that we're now done with the conductor, we're on to the next part. So I'll try to have that same kind of mindset when I update the community so they're not confused. Yes, sir.
Hey, Joe, so question, so we hit, so if I'm kind of repeating back what I think I heard, so we hit some rocks, some pretty difficult material at about 60 feet, you said?
We hit rock all throughout.
Oh, all throughout,
All
okay.
throughout.
So just almost from the beginning all the way to 60 feet.
Our target depth for the conductor was 60 feet.
Okay, and
the conductor is just the top part
Sure,
of
just
the
the top
well.
part, right.
Yeah, we're going 10 times deeper.
Okay, and so do we have any idea, is that going to continue all the way through till we get to our target depth, or
The
what do we think?
hydrogeologist is pretty confident that we're through the thick of it.
Okay.
But, this is not, a guarantee business. So we're optimistic that the rest of it. It's a different drill rig and different process on this next phase, which is the pilot hole.
Mm-hmm.
It has an auger bit, those what you see, so it's chewing up rock as it's going down. That should be a little bit easier to deal with in case, hopefully this doesn't happen, but a boulder could collapse in on that bit and then we lose the bit, or we have to figure out how to fish it out. But that is the biggest jeopardy in going the next part of it down. But to be very specific, we got to 46 feet deep, and we hit what we believe is like a car-sized boulder.
Wow.
And the drill rig was using a corkscrew type of drill, and it was just chewing away at it for probably, I think, 3 to 4 hours.
Wow.
And it was I'll share a picture with you all, but it made the coolest impression in that little rock piece. And then he changed to a bucket bit, and he just chewed basically a Coke can,
Wow.
looking, but much bigger, part of that rock right out. And so now the conductor pipe is going through that large rock. And that's part of the reason why we can't get it exactly plumb, because we're playing with a couple of different boulders down there.
So, Joe, so a follow-up question to that. So since we're having a more difficult time, do we anticipate that affecting the budget?
Yes.
How
Yes.
much?
So far, I'm in my contingency amount, and we're monitoring it. How much I can't project at this point because we're still negotiating that,
Okay.
and we still haven't gotten a formal cost increase request from the contractor.
Okay, so
It's-
just from a time-wise standpoint, can you please remind me what the original schedule was for the two periods? Because right now, I wrote down from February 6th through the 20th, so that's 2 weeks for the first period of drilling, and then the 14th through the 23rd, that's 9 days. What were the original timelines for those two periods, if you don't mind me asking?
No, I have it in front of me because I knew you would ask.
Okay.
The first pilot, the pilot hole was going to go from the 27th to the 30th. So
3 days.
Yeah, I did.
And now it's going to 2 weeks?
So this is the explanation there. I didn't include the pumping.
Okay.
That's not allowed, but I didn't understand that that's not a 24-hour operation. That's not going to be allowed. It's,
Okay.
we shouldn't notice a whole lot going on, versus the 3-4 days of clanking and motor running and clanking and motor running. That's the loud part, and that's where we're most focused on.
Okay, so forgive my confusion there, because I was confusing the noise with the actual drilling through. I guess my question is more related to budget. Again, you don't have a prediction at this point for how long it'll take to get down to our target depth. Is that correct?
They're still confident they can stay on target with the pilot hole
Okay.
period. This conductor pipe it's a different rig. It's a different process. It doesn't need to run 24 hours with the type of soil we have. There could have been that potential, but no, what they did was they brought in like 2-sack slurry, 3-sack slurry of concrete, and they filled that hole up, and every morning they come and drill that concrete out. So it didn't need to, it's a totally different drilling
Process.
operation,
Okay.
yeah. And that's, it's comparable in noise, except you don't have metal pipe hitting metal pipe constantly. When the other rig that they're gonna bring in, that's pulling in straws at a time and hitting each other, and it's loud, it's clanky.
Okay.
I do have a question, Joe, regarding, I just imagine this massive boulder and there's like a Coke cylinder looking thing just cut in the middle. Would that damage anything down the road in terms of, earthquake or just shifting of dirt in terms of repair in the future? I guess that's where my mind is going.
Yeah, seismic movement is always a consideration with the wells. There's going to be more delicate sections of the well than where we're at right now. The conductor pipe it's a half-inch steel pipe, and that is pretty rigid itself. So so long as the earth moves together, that boulder should stay in place, and it shouldn't. It's not loose around it. It's just cored right through. Yeah, it's actually. I think it's a benefit. Is the problem is we can't get it plumb. If with that aside, I think it's a benefit that there's that stabilizing force.
Thank you for the explanation.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you, Joe.
You're welcome.
Manuela is going to give a quick update on the ERF grant.
Thank you, Erica, members of the council. The Turning Point team has been working since January 5th, and this early part of their work is developing relationships with the homeless folks out there in the encampments, visiting them as often as they possibly can. In their reporting to me that they've made contact with several of the encampment dwellers, and when making these first relationships, these first contacts, they bring with them donations, things like socks and things that are helpful to them. And then from there, they broach the conversation about, what kind of services can we possibly help you with? Are you interested in going to the Santa Paula One Stop? You can get a shower. And that's always a pretty nice approach. And so they've started to do that with several of the encampment dwellers, and they're getting some good feedback. And one in particular is open to potentially moving over to emergency shelter. So I think they're making good inroads. They've got really great supervision that has a ton of experience, and I think we're going to see great results. But that's where they're at right now. They're developing relationships, and they're getting them to the places they need to be, and hopefully we'll have some successful stories for you in the near future.
Question, Manny?
Yes.
So if you could you update us on the population right now? Because I gave out some numbers, and I hope that I'm not off, but I'd given out a number to some constituents that we had approximately 20 people living in the encampment, and of those, I said about 17 of those had relatives in the Fillmore community. Is that accurate?
I think it's within a reasonable estimate. The last I heard from the sheriffs when we had our early meeting, I thought that they had mentioned there were approximately 13 to 15. Okay. So we're going to be doing the point-in-time homeless count tomorrow, and Councilmember Villasenor is going to be has been helping to manage that all. I'll be out there, and I will have a very accurate count as of tomorrow.
Okay.
Great. Any other questions?
I was just going to comment to John that I think because they have ties to Fillmore and their families, that that count can just kind of vary, depending on how they're getting along with the family or the season that it might be, So it's kind of like a little bit of a moving target, but I think that high teen estimate. But we'll see. Hopefully we're able to get an accurate count tomorrow.
So my 20 number is high. If anything, it's not on the low side.
So yeah, you have your encampment dwellers, the folks that have more of a permanent type of camp there, and then you have folks that are more of transient passers, people that have been identified as coming and going through the area. So yeah, but the number of folks that are actually camping down there is in the teen numbers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you, Manuel.
Thank you.
Thank you. Just want to remind the businesses in town that we do have our next business roundtable this upcoming Monday, February 2nd at 8:30 a.m. at R&Q Kitchen. We have been promoting it on social media and also been sending out some direct messaging via email to all of the businesses who are registered through a business license, and we have their contact information. So we hope to get a good cohort of business owners so that we can continue having open conversations and ideas on how we can get the economic development for the town moving forward. We also want to thank the Public Works staff for providing this weekly street maintenance report. I am happy to report that last week, even though it was a short week, and staff had a little bit of delays with the asphalt plant and getting to understand how to use the new equipment, they were successfully able to fill 46 potholes on C Street between 126 and Old Telegraph Road. So that is a 2-person crew, and the supervisor is helping with traffic control plans. But thank you, Joe and Jacob Kaufman, for your leadership, and to staff for making that a priority. I will be continuing to share those weekly reports with you, council, and then we'll start promoting also those efforts on our social media channels and website. And then lastly, just remind everyone to please sign up for our newsletter. It's a good way for you to stay informed on what's happening with city business. And that concludes my update tonight.
City Manager, I'd just like to give you a little bit of feedback. So I did a very short presentation at the last Rotary meeting on last Wednesday, and I covered several of the topics that we just talked about. The one that got probably the most positive feedback was the potholes. So when I told them that, I told the audience, the Rotary group, that we had now a machine that was dedicated and that staff was receiving training, that we'd have received it in December, but we were targeting the next 100 potholes. The amount of smiles and feedback that we got, it was very noticeable. So you guys are doing great work, and I think people are going to notice. And it's great that you and Angel are working on getting the word out there, because I think people will be very, very happy to hear that we're making progress on that.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Erica, and thank you, Joe.
Yeah, and I live down the street from C Street, and it was nice going to work, not swerving around trying to avoid the potholes. So thank you, Joe, and your team for doing that. And yeah, two-man team. It's great.
Moving on to item number 10, closed session. Council will now move to closed session, where we'll have a public employee performance evaluation and compensation with the city attorney pursuant to Government Code Section 54957 and 54957.6A to conduct an employee performance evaluation of the city manager.
Yeah, so the council met and discussed the city manager's compensation, and we have no reportable action, and that concludes the meeting. Adjourned to the next February 10th.